Hello everyone, in this module let us learn about medical applications of signal analysis. The contents of the presentation are on analysis of biosignals, spatial and frequency domain methods, detailed signal analysis of ECG, EMG and EEG. To start with, what is a biosignal? So what is a biosignal and what are the different kinds of biosignal? So biosignals are electrical signals that are obtained from human body to assess various bodily functions. Biosignals are electrical signals that are obtained from the human body, which gives us information about the functioning of the organs, tissues, or cells at that particular portion of the body. Biosignals are of vital importance as they give you the exact functioning of the cells at that particular location of that human body. In short, biosignals are information that are obtained from the human body. What are the common biosignals that are used? They are EEG. EEG stands for electroencephalography, which is used to study the electrical activity of brain. We have electromyography, which is used to study the electrical activity of muscles. We have electrocardiography. Electrocardiography is study about the electrical activity of cardiac muscles or heart. We have electrooculography, which is used to study the electrical activity of cornea or eye. So biosignals are very important to study the physiological system, to know the exact functioning of the physiological system, and which helps us to identify if the system is functioning normal or an abnormal state. Before we move on, let us start with analysis of ECG. ECG is electrocardiography, which is the study of electrical activity of heart. Electro stands for electrical signals that are obtained from the body. Cardio denotes that the electrical signals are with respect to heart, and graphy means study. So graphy is study, cardio stands for heart, and electro stands for electrical signals. Study of the electrical activity of heart is called as ECG. We use an instrument to study the electrical activity of heart, which is called as electrocardiograph. Electrocardiograph is the instrument which is used to study the electrical activity of heart. And the system or the instrument presents its output in form of a wave. That wave is nothing but electrocardiogram. Electrocardiogram is the recorded waveform or the recorded output or the picture of which describes the electrical activity of heart. In short, gram means waveform. Gram refers to the waveform. If it is electrocardiogram, it is the waveform which represents the electrical activity of heart. What is the use of ECG? ECG tests are performed for subjects suspected with cardiovascular issues to diagnose the cardiologist for heart attacks, irregular heartbeats, which are called as arrhythmia. We know that what is this arrhythmia? We know that heart functions in a rhythm. If the rhythmicity of the heart is lost, that condition is called as arrhythmia. Arrhythmia is an severe pathological conditions which states that the heart is not functioning in its normal state. Arrhythmia are potentially dangerous. Let us learn about the basics of functioning of an heart. We know that heart is four chambered, and the top two chambers are called as atria and the lower two chambers are called as ventricles. The heart is symmetrical in the sense it has two chambers on the left side, two chambers on the right side, and We know that the top two chambers are called as atria, and this is the left atria and this is the right atria. This is the left ventricle and this is the right ventricle. The left side of the heart deals with pure blood. The right side of the heart deals with impure blood. Initially, what happens is that blood from various parts of the body, the impure blood or deoxygenated blood from various parts of the body reaches the right atria through superior vena cava from the superior parts of the body, inferior vena cava from the inferior parts of the body, and coronary sinus, and through coronary sinus, which brings deoxygenated blood from the walls of the heart. All the impure blood from the superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and coronary sinus reaches the right atrium. And this condition, the atrium is getting filled up. Similarly, at the same time, on the right, on the left side of the heart, the pure blood after purification reaches the left atria through the pulmonary veins. The pulmonary veins brings in pure blood from lungs. Now the atria is getting filled up. Both the atria, left atria is filled up with pure blood or oxygenated blood. The right area is getting filled up with the impure blood from different parts of the body. Once the both atrium or auricles gets filled up with the blood, what happens is atrial muscles tend to contract. This condition is called as depolarization. When atrial muscles contract, the left atria forces the blood, pure blood in the left atria to enter into the left ventricle. Similarly, at the same instant of time, the blood, the impure blood or the deoxygenated blood in the right atria is forced into the right ventricle. So this under when both the atria are under subjected to contraction, under atrial contraction, blood is forced from the atria into the ventricle. Right ventricle, right ventricle receives blood from right atria, left ventricle receives blood from left atria. So this atrial contraction forcing the blood from atrium to ventricle results in a wave which is called as P wave. The electrical this is the recorded ECG output, and this P wave denotes the contraction of atria. And once the ventricles get filled up, what happens that once the ventricles receives all the blood from the atria, next ventricular contraction starts. This process is called as ventricular depolarization. This QRS is a complex, or this is QRS portion of the wave denotes the contraction of ventricles, which is of significant importance. Once the ventricle contracts, they give the electrical activity is denoted by this form of wave, which is called as QRS complex. Once the complete contraction of ventricle takes place, what happens is that the ventricles tend to relax. That condition is called as repolarization, which results in a wave which is called as T wave. So the functioning of heart starts with relaxation of atria, then contraction of ventricles, then relaxation of ventricles, and the cycle keeps repeating. This results in a wave which is of this pattern as P, Q, R, S, and T. Each segment of the wave corresponds to a particular action. This P wave denotes that atria are under contraction. QRS denotes that ventricles are under contraction. T wave denotes that T wave denotes that ventricles are under relaxation. This cycle repeats. So this is how an ECG wave is interpreted. And what is the most important thing is that this, as I said, that this is of clinical importance. Every wave has a specified duration. The P wave can last only for a specified interval of time. QRS complex can occur only for a specified interval of time. T wave can happen only for a specified interval of time. And these are mentioned here. Any deviation, any elongation, any extension, or any compression or any shortening of this time interval results in abnormal heartbeat. Faster heartbeat is called as tachycardia, slower heart rate is called as bradycardia. Elongation or compression of these silent levels are result in arrhythmia, which denotes that the heart is not functioning in its normal state. So ECG waveform is of clinical importance to denote, to identify whether your heart is functioning in its normal state. As I said earlier, electrocardiograph is the instrument which is used to measure the electrical potentials that are created by the heart muscles. We have electrodes which are fixed to various parts of the body to record this ECG from the human body. We have electrodes which are fixed to the chest, which are called as chest electrode. We have electrodes which are fixed to the four limbs of the body, which are called limb electrodes. All these electrodes are fixed to the surface of the skin, and which is fixed to the surface of the skin, which are by means of an electrode paste or electrode jelly, to avoid, to enable proper contact, proper skin contact between the electrode and the surface of the body, so that there is less loss of energy, and all the bionic potentials are transferred to the electrode, and thereby they reach the electrograph system. What are the challenges in ECG recording? Uh, Contamination of ECG signals may happen from variety of sources within and outside the patient bodies. We know that ECG is of prime importance for diagnosing the pathology, for diagnosing the functioning of an heart. The better the ECG wave, the purest form ECG wave may yield in better diagnosis and better treatment plan. If the ECG waveform is not accurate, it may lead to misdiagnosis and improper treatment, which can be potentially dangerous for the patient. So, what are the challenges in recording ECG? Not if generation of ECG waveform, which is in its pure, which is very pure, which is free from noise, is of very is of importance. What are the various challenges? Motion artifacts. Motion artifacts are the artifacts or noises or the disturbances which are created or which influences an ECG due to motion of the subject on whom ECG is measured. What are the various motions that can cause disturbances in an ECG signal? Breathing, coughing, on any other types of movements can cause disturbances in an ECG signal. The other important thing is the defective equipment and improper electrical supply. Noise can also come from poor electrical connections or improper placed electrode. Improper placement of electrode or improperly placed electrode where the electrode is not firmly attached to the patient. In that cases also we can get, and we will be getting an improper electrical signal which will yield an ECG signal which is not in its pure form. What are the other factors that can also cause, can offer hindrance, that offers hindrance in ECG recordings? Environmental factors. Electrodes. What are electrodes? Electrodes are transducers which convert ionic potential into electrical potentials, which which are recorded and which are presented in form of a waveform, which is used for making clinical observations. These electrodes can act as antenna and pick up EMI, which can influence the recorded wave and alter or disturb the obtained ECG wave, leading to misdiagnosis. What is the need to process an ECG signal? The need of for ECG signal processing is to get a signal in its pure form. So it is about improving accuracy. The importance of signal processing is to extract from an ECG waveform, we extract information from an ECG waveform which cannot be seen through naked eyes. It is to detect heart abnormalities by assessing an ECG waveform. It is ECG signal processing is to monitor patients in real time for those with cardiovascular conditions. It is used to diagnose cardiovascular diseases. In short, ECG signal processing is essential to improve improve the presentation of his ECG signal to the cardiologist to ensure that the waveform is presented to the cardiologist in a more simple, accurate manner, and the chances of misdiagnosis is minimal. It enables the proper presentation of the ECG waveform to the cardiologist may may make the cardiologist comfortable in making judgments easier. So what are the various steps in ECG signal processing? We get a raw ECG. As we discussed earlier that a raw ECG, there are a lot of challenges in acquiring ECG. ECG is always prone to have artifacts, noises within it. There are various sources of noises we have already discussed. It is about the motion artifacts, the environmental factors, and the other improper or placement of electrodes which can disturb the ECG pattern. So it is very essential that the ECG in its raw form will have the original ECG, which is embedded with noises which are embedded on it due to various factors like motion, environmental factors, or improper fixation of electrodes. It is before it is presented to the cardiologist for further diagnosis. We have to ensure that all the noises are removed. It is denoised. It is presented in its pure form to the cardiologist. For making an automated system, what we do is that to not to, no, to make to develop or to generate an automated system to present the normal and abnormal state of the obtained ECG is to process it for computer processing. What is required is that we need to process the signal. What is signal processing? We process the signal to ensure that the obtained ECG signal is free of noise. So we apply signaling tools, we signal processing tools to remove noises from it. Once the signal is denoised, it is a pure ECG signal which has only the information and all the noises are removed. We apply feature extraction. We note that ECG signal is a signal of a definite pattern with P complex, P wave, QRS complex, S wave, T wave, which are of landmark importance, and the time period between each segment of the ECG segments are of clinical importance. Any extension or any compression in those time periods are results and is an indication of a pathological condition. So what is to be done? Sir, we take the raw ECG, we process it, convert it to a pure form of ECG, and we apply feature extraction techniques to extract those fiducial points which are of landmark importance or clinical importance in ECG. That is used to that is presented to a computer based system which is trained by giving a set of data which are for normal ECG and abnormal ECG. Once the system is trained with normal and abnormal data, it can classify the given input as normal or abnormal. What are the techniques we use? Denoising, removing noises from an ECG signal. We know that the ECG waveform typically lies in the range 0.5 to 150 Hz. Any signal above or below this range is not an ECG, it is an unwanted signal. So any signal which does not lie in this frequency range has to be removed. Suitable filters will have to be deployed to ensure that the passband lies between 0.5 to 150 Hz. For example, this is the example of a noisy ECG. On applying suitable filters to remove the unwanted signal, we get a denoised ECG, which is a pure form of ECG signal. Next, baseline correction. What is this baseline correction? You can find here the baseline is not fixed. The there is a change in the ECG signal, which is where it is moving. The baseline keeps shifting. What is the reason for this baseline shift? It is because of motion artifacts. Motion artifacts can result in this baseline wander. So we have to ensure this baseline is fixed, it's steady. Irrespective of the movement of patient, we have to ensure that we have to use proper signal processing tools to remove this baseline wander. Feature extraction. As we said earlier, What is this feature extraction or parameter extraction? It is about extracting the important fiducial points on an ECG, like URS complex, ST segment, PR segment, which are of clinical importance. Variation in the amplitude of an ECG signal, variation in the interval of this ECG waveform results in is an indication of an arrhythmic condition. Arrhythmia is a condition where rhythmicity of the heart is lost, which indicates that heart is not functioning in its normal rhythm, which is a pathological condition, which is of clinical importance and immediate attention is required. So features, what these are the, we know that these are the features which are for, which are the, these are the time features which are for a normal heart wave. Any deviation in this duration of P wave, QRS wave, QT interval, ST signal indicates a pathological condition. Every system, every automated system has to be trained with the set of data to know that what are the set of, what are the time intervals for different segments, and any, if it is fed with an unknown ECG, observing these segments, observing the time period of the segments, it should be in a position to classify it as normal and abnormal ECG. In short summary, the analysis of ECG waveform is used for diagnosing various heart abnormalities. What does ECG signal processing involves? It involves filters. It involves filters to remove the baseline motor and power line interferences. What is the low? What is high? It requires high pass filters. We know that low information, low frequency information are vital information, or are wanted information. High frequency information are always noises. So we need to use appropriate high pass filters to reject the unwanted noise that are present over there. What is signal transform? Signal transform is also required to extract the portion of the QRS complex which is of very much clinical importance in an ECG wave. So, in short, ECG waveform is used for diagnosing heart abnormalities, and what signal processing in ECG involves is about filtering to remove the baseline motor, power line interferences, and any other noises or high frequency noises that have been caused due to patient movement, respiration, or whatever it is, and appropriate signal transform techniques to detect the QRS complex from the acquired ECG signal.